Our Stories Festival was really set up to help support people from diverse backgrounds to really get into the industry.
Those people that you see do fantastic stuff, they put in the work.
This session is something that we've designed and called Ask Koby. And basically what it is, I mean, I still have some questions, but it's a real open forum for you guys to draw from this amazing man, creative exec, who not too long ago was in a lot of the same positions as you guys. And for me, when I look at his journey, he's done what he's doing now. I would probably expect it to take maybe someone 15 to 20 years to do. So, you know, like directing a full series for a broadcaster, like it's not that long ago you came out of film school. Like when in the big picture, do you know what I mean? Like having 5 short films commissioned by Sky, who don't even do short films, but it's through your own production company, and then you're an exec on all of them, and I might not be able to say what might happen from some of them, but do you know what I mean? It's not, yeah, so this is an open forum for you guys, so please don't be shy. The questions are not going to come at the end. If you have questions, just have them ready. I have 1 or 2 questions to kick them off, but is that okay? Yeah? All right, cool. Thank you, Koby, for your time. Cool, so Koby, question, right? Let's say there's someone who has made maybe 2 or 3 good quality shorts, right? And they're struggling to get an agent. What should they do?
I mean, look, I've got an easy answer and a long one, but I think the easy answer is just keep making films, as far as I'm concerned. I think agents are great. You know, for example, my agent is amazing. You know, he's like even like my friend. But I guess it takes time as well. Do you get what I'm saying to you? To find, I guess, the perfect setup, you know, to make stuff. But I guess the most important thing is making stuff. Do you get what I mean? And I think if you keep making and learning, it becomes undeniable, and then the team builds itself, I guess. And then you can kind of start avoiding, you know, little hiccups along the way, because, you know, you've done what came to you, as opposed to going to hunt down the perfect image, do you know what I mean, of agent and etc. So if you've done 3 shorts and no one's approached you, then keep making your shorts. If you've made 3 shorts, the likelihood is you probably will get approached, but it doesn't mean those people are right for you. So I wouldn't jump into the first conversation I have. But yeah, so I think just keep making films, I guess, is my main response to that.
Thank you. What would you say to a creative who is in their mid-30s and feels like time is running out?
Says who? You know, no one's God. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's people that start, well, they say KFC guy started at 61 or something. He was about to kill himself or something weird like that. Do you know what I mean? You feel me? So like people always have their own sort of like perception and illusion of time in their head for whatever reason. Do you get what I mean? It might be personal, it might be whatever. Do you get what I mean? And that is nothing to do with the facts and the pragmatic nature of what we do. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of sentiment that kind of gets poured into the craft, and I think the craft can also be looked at as scientific. You know what I'm saying to you? And if you stick to the science, the likelihood of you succeeding is very high. And I think, you know, just go and find the science, do it your way. Do you get what I mean? Then everything will work out for you, whatever that's supposed to mean. Do you get what I mean? And I think that saying, oh, okay, yeah, cool, yeah, I'm 40, so what? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's call a spade, making films or TV or anything of the sort. I could possibly even say still is quite an elitist thing to do. So if you come from a working class background, you know, the likelihood is the first 20, 30 years of your life is for stability to, you know, reverse the way you've come from. Do you get what I mean? But, you know, in the same breath, that's your choice, because I guess for me, I didn't think in that fashion. You know, from Jump Street, I didn't even know about film till I was like, 23? That's when I really understood what film was. Before, I was from ends shooting with cameras and stuff, figuring it out. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so eventually, at that time, I thought I was old, at 23, do you know what I mean? Thinking, no, I need to get it. You know, I'm seeing all my friends living life, you know what I mean? And I'm hearing pushing cameras around or whatever. That's the way I'm looking at it. You know, it's not a bad thing, as the way I'm looking at it. But I think, you know, my view on things was, you know, learn how to do things the best way, if you know what I mean, and let everything transpire. And whenever you're ready to do that, do it, because it's never going to be easy. Do you know what I mean? If it's at 19, fair enough. If it's at 60, fair enough. But do not add the age as part of the reason or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with age. Do you know what I mean? There's different things to worry about. Do you know what I mean? Which, you know, climb the obstacles, don't give up, you know, etc. You know, Ava DuVernay, when did she start? 35, 36?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't. If someone comes to me at 35, I'm going to say I can speak to you like I would a 21-year-old, because it makes no difference. The thing. I know obviously there's a lot of sacrifices that have been made. I'm not saying that's not important, but it's got nothing to do with how I would advise you to proceed.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience for Koby? We have one back there. Go for it.
If an investor came to you with $10 million to make a film, what film would you make?
Ooh, that's a very timely question.
She's got 10 mil.
I know, boy. I feel like God is telling me there's 10 million in the room. So I need to get my picture boots on, boy. No, look, I don't want to talk too much, but I actually have a concept right now. And it's a fantasy horror, right, which is really about me exploring my own head. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And then, you know, sort of like raising the stakes on that. It's surreal, it's spiritual, it's otherworldly, but heavily rooted in reality with realistic lessons. If I ain't got the 10 mil, then that's it, because I can't really say much more. You know? But, you know, I was going to say the title, but something tells me not to say it neither, because, you know, I need to kind of keep it, you know, with me and God for now. Yeah. But if you've got 10 million, I'll catch you after. And, yeah, we can talk some more.
I love it. We have another question at the back over there. Feel free to also have your hands up, and then Sonia, you can choose people if I'm missing stuff. Yeah, all good.
Hey guys, just out of curiosity, bro, I know you've done like great things already in the industry and for our culture, but what would you say at your stage are still the barriers that and the challenges that you are facing today?
This is going to sound funny, and no offense, I'm not trying to be like, you know, weird or anything, but it's kind of the same as everybody else. You know, everyone assumes that, okay, you've done this and you've done that, so yeah, this should fling all of these doors open, and then you just cut through and then your life is perfect, and it's just not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you do one thing, God blesses it, do you get what I mean? And you've probably struggled for ever so long to get to this spark of blessing, right? So then the spark is here and it looks great, do you know what I mean? But eventually all of this stuff's going to settle back to reality until the next spark comes, and that spark can be 5 years later. Do you get what I mean? And obviously the spark is subjective as well, because one might say, well, if you do Top Boy, it's a spark, or do you know what I mean, or whatever. But again, as much as I loved working on that project and every other project I've been blessed to work on, I know what I'm trying to achieve. Do you get what I mean? I know why I started doing this as well. Do you get my drift? So it's like, I think that, you know, where I'm at doesn't really make a difference. Do you get what I mean? Like, I think, you know, I always feel like I started all over again, but I just know so much more. Do you get what I mean? I've got so much more resources now. Do you get what I mean? I've got so much more favors now. So even though, yes, I am practically in the same position as when I started, but it's like an evolved version. So whatever I achieve is also going to be evolved. Do you get my drift? So I kind of have to get used to this rhythm. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to sort of like fantasizing over this consistently successful career. You know what I mean? It's just not the case. It's a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of, you know, fallouts, lots of friends, lots of whatever. Do you get what I mean? It's just literally just life. It's another part of life. You know, just sort of plug yourself in if you love it and just go through it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Sonia, you choose.
Really inspiring what you've achieved. What was it like when you got your first break, and when did you get your first break with your career?
Again, I feel like first break is subjective, Do you get my drift? Because everything you could call a break. Do you know what I mean? Everything I've done by God's grace was the next step, as opposed to sort of like, staying on the same playing field. Sorry, what was the question again? I was about to load it, but so yeah, I can't actually hear him. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, what was it like when you got your first break, and when
okay.
did you get your break? Like that moment when
Sure.
you thought, yeah,
Sure,
I
sure,
made
sure,
it,
sure.
I got something big.
Sure. So I would say, look, if you want to call it first break, I'll say the first time I got paid money to direct. I'll call that a break. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, really, it's a hobby, innit? Do you know what I mean? Profession means you're getting paid. So I'll use Noughts and Crosses because, obviously, so I made Haircut, you could call it the break, because that's then what brought the other break. If that's the first point I was trying to make. But Noughts and Crosses was the one where it's kind of like, oh my God, yeah, maybe this guy should be doing this. Do you know what I mean? And maybe this isn't a risk anymore. And do you know what I mean? Like maybe it's like, oh my God, like Koby's a director now, right? That was that. I think that it happened 2018. So I finished making my short film Haircut in May 2018. I shot that in February 2018. Got commissioned in November 2017. So that was like the whole process of having no money and making this short film, praying to God that it does something. And then come May time, came out. And then honestly, I got to admit, like, there was like a click of a finger when something was announced, and then everything changed. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden now, emails, people, boom, 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 like all of that kind of stuff. So that was the big break, and it was quite surreal because it was almost like being in the Black Mirror episode, where it's like it's just this guy that, people do care about me. I've got friends in my area and stuff, but on the grand scheme of things, who the hell am I to all of a sudden, oh, what's he doing next? And it's kind of been the same since. You know what I mean? And it's been 5 years. It's never kind of stopped. It doesn't mean that, oh, yeah, I'm super successful and live in a mansion with gates. But do you get what I mean? It was that moment where now everybody can kind of see I'm probably going to end up there, if you know what I mean. So now I'm on the journey. So I call that the big break. But then again, Top Boy came and I was like, whoa, it's that big show. Do you know what I mean? So then that's another big break because, now people in America kind of know your work. Do you know what I mean? So when you go in those meetings, they're like, big fan, and you're like, oh, swear, I haven't been to America since I was 21 or 22, But it's, you get what I mean? So there's an art of Noughts and Crosses, but then there's also not really, because everything I do is the next step. Noughts and Crosses season 2, I was the only director. Again, big break. Do you know what I mean? I was, 30, I forgot how old I am, like 31 or something at the time. I did the whole BBC show to myself. Do you get my drift? And then the next thing is, I executive produce short films. Wow, another big break. Do you know what I mean? I'm still young. Somehow, by God's grace, I've been able to leverage opportunity for other people. When it's not just the writers and directors, it was the production designers, the costume designers. You get my drift. So it's just kind of like, everything's a big break. And I think you should kind of like see it that way because it kind of keeps you grounded, keeps you excited, etc.
So there's not like one pinnacle to aim for, and when you get Top Boy or when you get Noughts and Crosses, it's like, yeah, we're here, 100 bags coming in every month, we're good. It's like, that's one step towards another
precisely.
step. Yeah.
Because God knows I didn't come in here to just direct TV shows. No offense, it's a great opportunity and a blessing, but that's not why I started, right? I had a meeting with my pastor last week, and he said, what's your vocation? I said, what's a vocation? A vocation is why you're doing this thing, as opposed to you just doing it. Do you get my drift? So I think, the TV, and actually my career thus far, it hasn't been based on every shiny job that comes my way. I'm like, yeah, let me go do that, let me get money. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Let me go and get that gate in the house and everybody be rating my thing. Like I have got to submit to, which has actually filtered out the vast majority of work that's come my way. Do you know what I mean? Which I've had to reluctantly turn down. Do you get what I mean? Those could have been big breaks. Do you feel me? But some of them could have been massive breaks. You get me? But to be honest with you, again, my big break is me doing what I want to do and be getting paid for it. Do you get what I mean? If I'm doing something that I'm just like, oh, should I be doing this? But you're paying me money. You could look at it as a big break, but it's going to eat you up inside. Do you know what I mean? So my big breaks is really just, yes, doing Noughts and Crosses about love, Top Boy about something that, I've kind of been, experienced and can put together. Do you know what I mean? Like the Sky thing, working with like-minded people to, there's just things that I actually want to do and will be remunerated eventually. Do you get my drift? So, yeah. Don't know if I've answered your questions. Long-winded.
I love that. Yes, Sonia, you load up that person, but I have one question before that. DBK, right? What's the reality of running DBK Studios whilst being a director?
The reality is, no offense to anybody, I love everybody, that's why I do it, but it's a nuisance. It is absolutely a nuisance. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to create, I'm trying to live my life like everybody else that messages me. Do you get what I mean? But the reality is that, you know, I feel like it's a responsibility. I feel like it's not just me that should be doing it. I feel like everybody should be sort of doing that, and I think everyone is doing it, actually. You know, I'm not trying to say no one is. But when I decided to do it, I didn't think there was enough. Do you get my drift? So DBK is, I guess, again, a ministry. Again, it's just kind of like, okay, God has told me to, this is my vocation. Again, back to that conversation. This is why you're doing it. So go and make content. Do you know what I'm saying to you, which aligns with what you align with, right? It's not a case of, you know, me, to be honest with you. It's a case of, again, what I submit to you, which is God in it. Do you know what I'm saying to you? It's like, you know, and that's what people don't understand is you think, oh, yeah, God, Christian. So it narrows it down. Actually, it widens it. Do you get what I mean? Because the reality of the matter is in life, there's light and there's dark. So I can write as much dark as I like. Do you get what I mean? I could go to hell. I could write hell. I could write a scene in hell. Do you know what I mean? With the worst thing happening, no one can say anything if, you know, there's a redemption to it, if there's a lesson to it. So yeah, so for me, it's just kind of like, I don't have the capacity as one human being to do what God needs to be done. And you know what I mean? So just go and find as many other people that agree with the way, you know, what you think. Yeah. And let's go. If you disagree, God bless you. Do you know what I mean? I can maybe not, I know somebody that agrees with what you agree with, and I could put you in touch with them. Did you get my drift? But DBK Studios is really a machine that is there to shine the light on a lot of things. There's a lot of things that, you know, and just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that, for example, I can't tell a story on Islam. Do you know what I mean? Like, my faith doesn't reject anybody else's standpoint or viewpoint or, you know, do you know what I mean? Or any other religion or beliefs. To get my drift is actually about putting God's part of the story in it. Do you know what I'm saying? So if anyone has any ideas, I know I called it a nuisance, but it's a responsibility.
You love it. You love it.
I do love it. I actually do. I think, you know, being able to work with like new people as well, meeting new people, connecting on a deeper level because you're creating something. Do you know what I mean? You go to people with like, you know, deep-rooted stories and stuff, and they're coming to be vulnerable with you to explore that, you're going to be close. Do you get what I mean? And I'm a people person behind the scenes. Do you get what I mean? So it's kind of like that. I do get a bit of satisfaction from that as well. You know, I've made some brilliant friends. Charlene, Jessica, they're my friends. You know, they call me sometimes, hey, how are you? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a blessing.
I love it. I love it. There was a question at the back, right?
Yeah. Hey, bro, how you doing? Just a question on the DBK Sky Arts.
Sorry, the light's shining. I don't even know where I'm looking.
Right, we're here.
Oh,
hey,
yeah,
bro.
nice one. Yeah.
So early, how you doing?
Hey.
Yeah, bro. So just the Sky Arts. I'm interested in the story as to how that came to be with Sky Arts and also your process in picking the films that you worked with. I saw them all. They were great. Favorite was Why Me? Very nice. But yeah, man, just interested in that process and how it all came together.
Sure, man. It was all the glory of God, man. Like, I'll be honest with you, it was lockdown, and I was meant to have started Top Boy in April, and then they pushed it back till God knows when. You know what I mean? So you're kind of sitting there thinking, oh, damn, what you do now, kind of thing. But me and my good friend Carl Loco, who's a very good friend of mine, he's into investments and he's currently in tech. You know what I mean? He's making a killing, you know, sort of like raised 10 million, you know, for sort of like black tech startups. You know, that's the vibe he's on, based from Brixton. You know, whatever, Christian, with the same age. So we put this thing together, actually, do you know what I mean? This sort of, because we co-exec a short film for Charlene Wango, my first mentee, do you know what I mean? And it worked out. It was kind of like, raw, do you know what I mean? So we do know what we're doing. We might as well run it again. So that's, you know, we put a proposal together, which my lawyer actually told me to do. So on one Sunday, spent like 3-4 hours just figuring it out. Then, yeah, it was like Black Lives Matter was happening. Kind of sent the proposal to my lawyer. So they were like, yeah, you know what? This is Black Lives Matter. We believe in this. We're going to, you know, represent you pro bono, right? I was like, okay, you know, it's all right. And then, yeah, like, there was an opportunity that came around from a good friend of mine, Jerome Buchan Nelson, who's a fantastic writer. He was part of a group of people that were going to meet one of the commissioners, actually the head of Sky Drama at the time. And he was like, yeah, we should go into this chat, this sort of like, you know, I call it Zoom, but it's one of those behind the scenes Zooms.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, we was all in there, and then we're all talking to him. You know, I'm going to not say his name out of just respect. I don't want to, you know, I'm not a name dropper. But, you know, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, well, this is the issue of the industry or whatever, because, you know, we got chosen because we've done, I guess, something, and we're black, so what's your experience? So we had a really good conversation with him, actually, you know, and I was very encouraged in that chat because he really took his time to understand everybody and was genuinely concerned, which you can't actually fake, you know. I think that also there was follow-up to that conversation as well. He put his money where his mouth was. He literally offered all 8 of those people in that Zooms one-on-one time. Yeah, and at the time I was actually quite busy, which is strange because back in the day I would have skipped sleep and sent the email. But, you know, I didn't send the email until about 3 weeks later, and I sent that proposal that I already had, which we were already going to get money for, by the way, not necessarily from Sky. It was a proposal that we put together. That 125 is a specific number, do you know what I mean? We came with a fully fledged plan. We didn't come and say, oh, how do we do this? We said, we're going to do this. But we've got it. So, you know, and actually what I put in the email was, oh, can you just let me know what you think of the proposal from a commissioner standpoint so we can get investment? That's what I put in the email. And I sent my TV show, House Girl, as well. Like, if you want to make that, you feel me? We can run something there. So, yeah, literally the day before the meeting, because we set a meeting, he got back saying, oh, yeah, you know, thanks for sending the stuff, going to digest. We should meet on this day. I said, yeah, cool. It was about 3 weeks later again, the day before the meeting, I get an email from him, like, Koby, can't wait to jump in a meeting, you know, all of that. Do you know what I mean? And it was like gassing me up when I was reading. I was like, wow, what have I done? Kind of thing. Maybe his house girl was getting gas. I was thinking, yeah, my TV show's sick, kind of thing. And then he was like, yeah, you know, we should talk about everything you sent. You know, like the short film scheme looks exactly what's needed, you know, etc. So it's like they're just sort of visioning it without even pretending, do you know what I mean, or trying to play chess with me or anything. It just came on a very honest and transparent vibe, like, look, it's Black Lives Matter, makes sense for us to do, you know what you're doing, we're not going to step on your toes, we're not here to tell you what to do, we just want to support you, do you know what I mean, and you know, so what do you want? I said, what do you want? I was like, oh, snap. I was like, obviously, you know, that's what's in the proposal. Like, yeah, done. I was like, oh, what else? I was like, oh, no, like, you know, you're just, oh, yeah, like, what? I should have said 250 or something. But nah, so, you know, I just said, yeah, you know, okay, we obviously distribution, we got a plan for that as well. I think they were just genuinely impressed by the fact that this practical nobody just came and drew up, you know, with his other friend who works in tech, you know, a plan to, do you get what I mean? To make a difference. Yeah. It's not for me. I didn't get paid from it. Do you know what I mean? There was no line in the 125 to pay me. Do you get what I'm saying to you? It was actually just something inside of me which had to come out. And I think in the meeting we had, it probably came out because the thing about me is if I believe in something, I don't even need to sell it. You can just see it in my face. Do you get what I mean? So, yeah, that happened. And by the end of the meeting, it's like, yeah, cool, yeah, business affairs, you know, let's get it done. I was like, I didn't even know what that meant, you know, business affairs. So anyway, my lawyer, clearly, obviously, my business affairs, so I copied him in. 3 months later, a deal was done. We got the talent. So you asked, how did we get the talent, right? The talent, we're just about, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I do believe in open calls, yes, I do, but I don't want to do it, right? And I will explain why. Like, I just think that life isn't just about, yeah, I help you and you help me because we've got all these common things together. Do you know what I'm saying to you? There still needs to be an extra layer of creative and business alignment for us to work. Do you know what I mean? Like all the, you know, things on paper that pits us together is not all it takes for us to work. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like I believe in quality. I believe in, you know, the top shelf. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And the top shelf isn't what you can do, is what's your character like? Do you get what I'm saying to you? It's like, what's your vision? Do you feel me? Like, what you're like around other people? How teachable are you? Do you get what I mean? Because I personally, that's my belief that that's what's going to get you to where you need to go. Do you get what I mean? I've just mentioned quite a few things, but it's not everything that we look at. It's a very rigorous process, and it's not just my decision. There's the people I'm around as well. And I think that, yeah, so the people we chose and curated, Do you know what I mean? Kind of clicked into place. Do you know what I mean? It felt right. It felt organic, right? And yeah, we took it from there, man. We figured it out every step of the way. There was a plan, but in terms of executing that plan and all the obstacles that came that we didn't know because we'd never done it, we just rolled it out, man. It was long, but we did it.
I love it, and the results were amazing and exceptional indeed. Next question, please.
Hey, how you doing?
My guy. I've even got the top on.
I see. So I just wanted to ask, when we're applying for like funding, right? They'll, like for BFI we had on, for example, when you go on the application, they'll ask for prior work. But then I'm thinking like, if I had the money, I would have made it.
Sure.
So what are some early barriers to entry did you find after leaving film school to make your projects, and how did you overcome them?
That's a good question. I finished film school in 2017 practically, it's beginning, and I made haircuts. It got commissioned later that year in November. But from January to November, I thought my life was over, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? I wrote loads of scripts, no one cared. And I thought I was so sick. I finished film school, I thought I was the best. And it's just, you know what I mean? All the scripts, you know, I'll be sending it to people, nah, that's not it, kind of thing. And I'm like, what do you know anyway? Do you know what I mean? Just going through that process, you know, that self-humbling process. Yeah, like, honestly speaking, like, there is a language, like, that goes back to the point I made about science. Do you know what I mean? Like, about what craft can be scientific, and go and seek the language, do you know what I mean? And put that language in what you're doing. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's just a case of, sometimes not a case of whether your idea is good or not. It's how to communicate it to the people who have money. Otherwise, again, that's taking sentiment out of the equation about, but I need the opportunity and I'm this and I'm that, and making it pragmatic. Do you get what I'm saying to you about, okay, well, this is the language that needs to be spoken. This is my idea. How do I merge these two together? If I don't get the money, then I get on with my life. You feel me? And I feel like that's all you can do. If you do your best and you go and learn what you need to learn and you do it, 9 times out of 10 it should work. But if it doesn't, you go do it again elsewhere. Like, for example, we talk about that at that stage, you know, sort of like getting your short film money. You know, I'm in a process where I've spent the beginning of this year trying to finance my feature. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing, like, at the end of the day. And I did loads of things after learning, putting it together, executing the plan, and it still didn't work. Do you get my drift? So that's as good as me applying for BFI and not getting it. So, you know, it's basically the same thing. Well, I guess my thing is I learned a lot from that. Do you get what I'm saying? Big L's, but they're lessons. But I'm doing it again now with a new project, and that all makes sense. Do you get my drift? It all makes sense. Like, nothing that I went through, all the inconvenience and whatever, you know, and feeling like, but I thought this idea was good. You know, I've listened to the principles, like the science, I've, you know, applied the science to it. It's getting the interest, you know, I'm flirting with, you know, boom, boom, but then everyone's like, no. Do you get my drift? So it's kind of like, okay, you have to look at it. It's like, why did they say no? You fool me, and, you know, pray on it, whatever, and go again. So my thing is, like, don't rely on one thing. Okay, boom, BFI. You feel me? Like, figure it out. Like, try and find a way to raise money. Like, I've done 3 Kickstarters in my life. That's practically begging people for money, right? If it's supposed to manifest that, because it's all digital, so it's like, fair enough, you don't see me begging. If I'm on the street asking, 500 people, I beg you give me £10 so I can make a film. Like, it's hustling, you know what I'm saying to you? And I guess when I told Charlene to do it, I don't want to do it, but she did it. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I've done it for my grad film, right? I've done it for a film while I was still in film school, and I made the film. You feel me? So sometimes don't always just sit around and wait, you know, and these people are not giving me money. Just find a way to make films. Like, just do it, honestly speaking. I think, you know, one of the biggest lessons for me this year, and I've said it about 3 times here today, is just be pragmatic. This is a business. Do you get what I'm saying to you? It's like, you can go to your therapist and your family, right, and the people that care, and they'll sort of like rub your back about the opportunities and etc. But then once you get back into this space, nobody cares. Like, fact. Do you get what I mean? I'm not saying that to be pessimistic. It's actually quite empowering, because now you can do what you need to do, go and learn, and do what you need to do. Do you know how you want to do it as well? Do you get me? And it'll work out. That's the thing. That's one thing. That's my belief in my head. Once you learn and you apply, that will eventually work out. Do you get my drift? It just might not be what you looked at, which is BFI.
I love that. I love that. Please keep the questions coming, but I have one. So a lot of people write, right? A lot of people can write, but a lot of people often overlook story. And story is something I hear you speak about a lot, right? What is story and why is it so important?
I feel like every time I get asked that question, the answer changes. But I think, story essentially is just what I've now learned is just general life. I think a set of people have sat down and found a way to make it scientific again. Do you know what I'm saying to you? It's probably even based on like human behavior and lots of work that I don't want to do. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So it's like they've come and they've put these set of principles together and says, well, it's worked for these people in the past and they're now millionaires and, won Oscars and stuff. Do you get what I mean? And I'm like, okay, I want to do that too. Do you get my drift? So I think that story is the key to that. And I think, okay, what is story? I think story is now, I always go on Zooms and do the same thing, which I'm going to start again soon, by the way. FYI, young plug. I'm going to do those Zoom sessions, like intro to storytelling and filmmaking. But, it was the 8 points that I've put together, reading books, read it somewhere, people telling me, mentors, through my time, which is character, obviously, is the most important thing. Like, a story has to be about a person or people, right? With a goal, meaning they want something. With obstacles, meaning something's in their way. With a dilemma, so they have to do this or that to get over this obstacle to get what they want. Simple. That's everything. Like me today, who am I? Koby the filmmaker. What's his goal? To come to your cinema, do Q&A. Obstacle. Darfur Crossing's choked. Do you know what I mean? It's a 2-hour. What am I gonna do now? I'm just there bugging out. Do you know what I mean? So I go and park up in Woolwich, get Elizabeth line. Do you know what I'm saying to you? It's still a story. Like, if it's a comedy, I can spin it this way. If it's a horror, I can spin it that way. Do you know what I mean? But that's what story is at the end of the day. It's about just simplifying what I just said, do you know what I mean, into your idea. Do you get what I mean? Because it kind of helps you strip out. Because I always say, if you just come and just regurgitate something you think that's happened, like it's not really a story just yet. Like you're not actually communicating. When you observe something, you're just taking in info. There's no... You haven't connected that information yet to actually go and make sense to anybody or justify even telling me that. Do you get what I'm saying? But what story does is this mechanism that does it for you. So you don't need to sit on this for 2 months until the dust settles. You can just use this thing to pull out what's important from what you've just been through or what you've observed, and then so we can understand. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? And I think that's what story is. That's why they always say story is king. Like if you look at anybody who's the people we look up to, you watch all their Q&As and stuff, they say the same thing. Story is king, story is king. Even DOP say, well, the story is the first thing. And you feel me? Once you're in and you're working with these people that's been doing this 20, 30 years, if you give them creative decisions as a director, as an editor, as whatever, and you don't talk about story, they'll probably just disregard what you said. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, you can't just say, well, I feel like this person should have done that. Why? You know what I'm saying to you? Why should that person have done that? But if you say, oh, story-wise, he did that because, he needs to save his mum, so boom, 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 he needs to, but this is in his way, that's why he did that. Oh, okay, so that's why the shot has to be like this. We get it. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like story is absolutely an immense thing to learn, and people have their different ideas of what it is. But I guess go on Google and just learn as much as you can in it, and you choose, let your spirit choose what you think is the best. Try it. If your film's not good enough, then I guess you need to go back and do some more homework until you love what you do. Yeah. And then you have your formula of what story is. So if you ask me, I'll tell you those 8 points and stuff. But, you can come up with what you think is best. Like Tenny, for example, I'll keep telling her 8 points, and she'll keep sending me stuff back regarding it. I'm like, just do what you like. You know what I mean? Because that 8 points might not stick with you, but you'll have an essence of that and whatever you're going to do. But just please, story is just story. If you go on Google, all the resources are there, to kind of sharpen your understanding of it.
Thank you. Please take notes on that, because I think that's the difference between someone banging out loads of scripts, which I guess practice is great and stuff, but the difference between like doing that and crafting work that really hits here and travels. So yeah, please look into what story is more. Yes, Sonia, are you choosing or okay? Someone's chosen. Yep, go for it.
Hi, Koby. Yeah, love all the gems that you dropped so far. So you mentioned.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know where I'm looking again. Oh yeah, thank you. I'm short-sighted as well, so please forgive me.
So you mentioned not too long ago, Kickstarter and whatnot. So obviously the amount is going to be different for everybody, depending on the project they're working on. But for a first-time filmmaker, whether it's short film or would dare to even jump to a feature, like what questions or what kind of format would you personally recommend someone to look at just to help get even a basic idea of what budget to aim for if they were going the crowdfunding or Kickstarter route?
So by the time I finished film school, I decided I was going to be a director rather than a DOP, right? And the first thing that I guess I learned as a director, if I want to make films like this rather than like that, is find a producer that can make films like this. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And pitch to them. And it doesn't mean it's the person that runs Universal Studios. Do you get what I mean? It's actually somebody who might be about like 5 years ahead of you or like 3 years ahead of you. Do you know what I mean? And figure out how to impress them, innit? Do you know what I'm saying to you? Figure out how to, make that connection. Do you get my drift? Because they've made films like this that look like that. So okay, what if my ideas now match to that level of production? That's what producers are there for. So if you're a director, that's my advice. But if you're a producer, on the other hand, then I guess I'm not a producer. So it will be a very difficult question to answer. But there are templates available, right? I have budgeted before, to be honest. I'm really bad at maths, so it was a very long day. But, there was a list of things to do and to consider, right? There's templates of other budgets from other stuff that I've just looked at and made my own version. Do you get what I mean? And then I've sent those budgets to mentors. Do you get what I'm saying to you? To say, what do you think of this budget? And they'll say, yeah, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Do you get my drift? So budgeting is a funny old thing, but if you're a director like me who has no interest, then you probably just want to find a producer. And I'm sure you've got plenty in this room, so you better get your networking boots on. This is the space where you'll meet a lot of like collaborators, as I have, so.
Thank you. We've got time for two more. Yes.
Oh, thank you. I'm almost getting tired. So this is just in regards to DBK Studios and the short films that got commissioned by Sky. So my question is, does DBK look for other projects that they can take on board to pitch to broadcasters or streamers or anything like that?
Yeah, the conversation's open. Do you get my drift? It's just an open conversation, but I think it always just falls down to alignment, really. Do you know what I mean? And alignment has many factors like timing, resources. Do you get what I mean? Where the filmmakers are at the time, and etc. So we've actually just started working with one person. I'm not going to put her on blast because I believe she might be here. But, it's not part of any scheme or anything. It's just somebody that we met, and it's like, you're an absolutely special filmmaker. And then we go and look at the resources, and we're like, oh, okay, well, this is what we've got, and this is what we don't have. And we've been in that position before and said, well, we don't have enough. So God bless. Here's some people to meet. And if the resources is read up in future, then we can have another convo. But I think in this instance, with the one project that we've committed to, is that, some resources just came in at a time where we've met her and she's pitching ideas. Do you know what I mean? And we've seen a short that she's made, which was absolutely out of the box. And we're kind of like, okay, wow, well, we understand the landscape now of what's required from these commissioners and stuff, because we've sat around them a bit now. We've That's the question I always ask, what are you looking for? So you meet somebody that says, oh, my idea is this and da-da-da. Oh my God, this guy said he wants, or do you know what I mean? And a lot of the time when you say, what are you looking for? It's not the same, but a lot of people, decision makers, have similar, do you know what I mean, things that they're looking for. So yeah, man, I don't know. I think what I'd say is we do, is the easy answer, but how many times we've done it is hardly ever. Do you get what I mean? So it's just one of those ones where it just has to be right, because it's not like DBK Studios has this big office in Soho with runners that's going to meet you at the reception with water. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Everything happens on Zoom. You know what I mean? So, you know, until the capacity grows, we're going to have to be pragmatic with what we choose to do in it.
I love that. Thank you, thank you. Last question. Oh, yeah, everyone's hands raised now. Okay, cool. You take the pressure. You choose. Oh, it's over there. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Hi. You briefly touched on this earlier when you were talking about writing about Islam. When pitching a story as a quote-unquote diverse creative, how can you push for a story that isn't just about, for example, race, or just about one aspect of your identity? If it was someone who's disabled, they might not want to write something about being disabled. If it's someone who's gay, it might not want to be a coming out story. There's so many different stories. Although they're important, there's other stories to tell. So how can we push for that?
What, a story that's not about things that tick boxes, basically?
Yes.
Get private investment, because I guess the people that have money tick boxes. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So again, it's not about really what I want to do. Actually, it is 1,000,000%. I take that right back. It is about what I want to do, but it's about merging that with what they want to do. Do you get what I mean? It's just communication, really, and you know, it's just about coming to terms with the fact that, you know, we're just not in control of everything. Just because we've got this idea, well, if we believe in it so much, we have to make it happen hook or crook. Do you get what I mean? I can't hold anybody accountable to that. That's my job. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And I guess for me, another response to that would be, your idea always links up to those things anyway. Do you get what I mean? Is life is, again, I keep talking about science because that's just the season of my life where I'm realizing how scientific life is. You know, everyone goes through so many things in life thinking that, oh, yeah, this is so bad and I'm unique, when you literally hear somebody else's story and it sounds like they went through exactly what you went through, if you know what I mean. And the detail might be different. Do you get what I mean? So there is always a connection point. And I think that this thing that I said about story and the 8 points is something that always clarifies what that is. Do you get what I'm saying? You might not know it exists, but it's there. And it does tick a box, so why not tick the box and get money? Do you know what I mean? So it's just there's two ways of looking at it. But you could have a rich uncle somewhere that believes in you and has an M to just dash your way. If you do, just think of me as well, because I've got ideas in it, so, you know.
I love it. Can we have a round of applause for Koby? Thank you.